Hello and welcome to the Her Retirement Podcast. I am your host, Lynn Toomey. And here in my podcast each week, I talk about how to live a better, more intentional, and financially secure life now and in retirement. Whether you're single, suddenly single, or a partnered up woman, your only sure investment is an investment in yourself. And financial wellness, also known as financial security, isn't just a dream, it's a decision. And when you decide to make a commitment to yourself and change your financial destiny, our fresh, modern platform will help you know more and have more now and in retirement. Welcome to Her Retirement. Welcome to my Know More, Have More financial wellness platform, and welcome to my podcast. Are you ready to get her done? Let's do this. In this week's episode of my podcast, I'm talking about housing matters because where we end up living in retirement is a big issue that many pre-retirees begin to think about as they get closer to retirement. I know it's been top of mind for me for the last couple of years as I faced both becoming an empty nester in 2021 and as I faced the lease on my current rental coming to an end in April of 2022. Both of these circumstances gave me a chance to consider where I will call home. And it's actually ended up being more thought-provoking, soul-searching, and stressful than I could have ever imagined. There were so many considerations that ended up influencing my decision. Even though I'm closing on a new home in a week, I don't know if this home will end up being, quote, my retirement home, but I do have dreams of living on a lake in New Hampshire someday, so this might be sort of a stopover before that point. I don't really know. I'm keeping an open mind and I'm keeping my options open at this point, and I'm looking forward to living in a new town and a new neighborhood. Change can be good. Well, I've been in the midst of this home buying process. I was actually interviewed for an article that appeared this week on the bankrate.com website, written by a gentleman named Jeff Ostrowski. The focus of the article is about the trend of women emerging in force on the home buying front, despite affordability challenges. As Jeff points out in the article, many women are unknowingly joining a trend, single women that are a growing force in the housing market. The National Association of Realtors says that single women made up 19% of all homebuyers in 2021, a share that has been trending up since it hit a low point of 15% in 2014. Single men, on the other hand, make up just 9% of buyers, while couples, both married and unmarried, do nearly 70% of housing deals. A separate survey by Bank of America found a similar house before spouse trend, with 65% of single female prospective home buyers saying they'd rather not wait for marriage to buy a home, and 30% of women who already own homes bought them when they were single. Many young women are leaving their parents' homes to venture into their own homeownership because they consider renting a waste of money. Many single women are deciding not to find partners before becoming homeowners. Because people are delaying getting married until an older age, women just aren't waiting for the homeownership part of the traditional coupled-up decision to buy a home. So what's driving the trend? A woman named Jessica Lautz, Vice President of Demographics and Behavioral Insights at the National Association of Realtors, told Bankrate that for single women homebuyers, financial stability is an important part of the decision. Jessica said, women have a very strong preference for home ownership. They think it's a good financial investment. They're also willing to make financial sacrifices in order to have home ownership. They traditionally have a lower household income, and they're willing to cut expenses in other areas of their life to achieve home ownership. In something of a paradox, Jessica continued, single women make less money on average than single men, but are more eager to buy homes. That could reflect the certainty and stability that go along with a monthly mortgage payment, as opposed to renting in an era when monthly rents have been rising sharply. Knowing exactly what your payment is going to be for the next 30 years, especially if you're a single mom, could be incredibly important for women, Lautz continued on with her comments. I definitely agree that renting is a little unnerving, and when I was faced with the fact that my lease was coming to an end, renting was something I needed to look at and question whether I wanted to continue renting. But number one, the availability of rentals is really low in the area of the country where I live. And number two, if you can find a rental, they're very, very expensive. And financially, it just didn't make a lot of sense for me to pay that kind of rent when I could actually purchase. Renters can also face the possibility that the landlord could not just raise the rent, but decide not to renew the lease at all. So people are kind of left out in the lurch, so to speak. While I wasn't surprised by my landlord's decision to renew my lease this coming April, it did spur me to look at home buying versus renting again and again, whether that made financial sense. For me, it was about stability and not being at the whim of a landlord who could choose to end my lease at any time. At 56, I kind of want to be settled. By the time I move into the house I'm purchasing next week, I will have moved 6 times in the last 6 or 7 years, and I know that I'll have much more peace of mind owning my home versus renting. And the financial side of the equation is yet another story. Obviously, some of the benefits of home ownership include writing interest off on a loan, and you certainly can't do that with rent. And then, of course, you have to offset the upkeep and the other responsibilities of home ownership. But I was careful to find a house that is completely redone, all brand new, low maintenance, in a great location, and I think it would appeal to future buyers, although I don't really have any plans to sell before I move in. My realtor says it's a great house to, quote, age in place. And I guess that's a little nod to my age. But because it's a single level living ranch style, not a huge yard, not a lot to take care of, she felt it was good opportunity to age in place in this home. So I guess the future will tell. There are significant challenges facing single buyers, however. The process, especially for self-employed people like me, has been extra challenging, extra stressful. But I've had a great lender representative. He's been by my side, helping me every step of the way, and I really appreciate all his work. I've been actually working with Fairway Mortgage, and it's been a good experience from that side of the coin. But I think I'm in the home stretch with a closing scheduled 7 short days from now. And I guess I should probably get some packing done. I've done a little bit, but probably not nearly enough. So I guess it will be crash packing this coming weekend. As we've all witnessed, and as the Bankrate article states, home values soared to record highs during the pandemic, and that price jump makes buying homes difficult for those doing a deal on just one paycheck. So the competitive bidding market has also been really challenging. I was outbid on 3 occasions, and I've heard of people making 10 to 20 bids on homes and being outbid. I just can't imagine that type of rejection. As one interviewed person in the Bankrate article said, I would put in a high offer and someone would swoop in and pay all cash. On the upside, purchasing home in this market has been attractive because of interest rates. But because of COVID, many people were able to stash away a lot of cash that they used to lure sellers into accepting their offers. So it made those of us that didn't have cash offers at a disadvantage. But I kind of was scratching my head at that because money is so cheap to borrow. I couldn't imagine putting all your cash into purchasing a home when you could take a mortgage for 3% and put a lot of cash in the market, which typically has earned 9%. Anyway, the math didn't make a lot of sense to me, but I guess it was people really desperate to get homes, and they used that cash to lock in their purchase. The Bankrate article offers some suggestions for singles in their home buying efforts, and I'm going to review those real quick now. The article says to take a look at a realistic look at your finances. If you're drowning in credit card debt or facing other financial challenges, you got to address those issues first. Making sure that you're financially ready to buy a home is the most important place for any buyer to start. But this could even be more important for single buyers with one income. Raising your credit score. Oh boy, I could do a whole podcast on credit scores, but your credit score is the most important factor in determining the mortgage rate you'll pay. So, moral of the story is pay all your bills promptly. I can tell you this from experience. Even 1 or 2 lates for silly reasons, which I've had in my case, where a bill went to the wrong address because I moved so many times, can make your credit score go down, as frustrating as that is. And also, it's really important not to run up large balances on your credit cards. And there's something called utilization rate that you want to look at. You really don't want to have your cards maxed out because your credit score is based on how much of your open credit you're utilizing. The higher your utilization, the more your credit score can be dinged. And definitely research first-time buyer programs. There's one in Massachusetts with the Mass Housing Authority. They help you with down payments and lower rates. And it's a really, really good program in Massachusetts. And I'm sure other states have those type of programs as well for first-time home buyers. And then the article continues and goes on to say, be prepared to do battle. While the U.S. housing supply has eased a bit in recent months, this remains very much a seller's market. 100% agree. One characterized by tight inventories and aggressive competition among buyers, as I mentioned earlier. And overpriced offers are very common. In fact, one of the homes that we made a bid on was, I think it went for $100,000 over asking. Now, granted, the realtor put the price really low in order to get a bidding war in place. So it was probably priced low to begin with, but yeah, you can't, I wasn't in a position to compete with $100,000 over asking. Anyway, my mother always says things happen for a reason, and I think I found a better home at the end of the day. Next, shop around for a mortgage. Once you've found a place, make sure to research your mortgage options. Shopping around for a home loan can save you thousands of dollars over the life of your mortgage. In fact, I really wasn't aware of this, even though I've purchased 2 or 3 homes in my lifetime, but you can shop within a 2-week time period for different mortgages and get your credit score checked without your credit score going down. Really, you need to keep it consolidated in that 2-week window. So if you are shopping around, make sure you do it within those 2 weeks and get your credit score checked in that time frame so that it doesn't ding your score. But definitely talk to different mortgage lenders. There's a lot of different options out there for you. And then consider a low down payment mortgage. For single women who can't come up with 20% down, there are plenty of mortgages that offer down payments as low as 3%. And don't forget your maintenance costs. One downside of homeownership, as I mentioned earlier, is shouldering the responsibility of repairs and maintenance. Pipes leak, appliances break, and roofs wear out. So you have to plan for those things. Really important to have a savings account where you can handle those things. And also, I was just looking at insurance policies, homeownership policies, which I haven't had for a long time. And my lender actually told me about a company that ended up saving me $600. So that was a nice savings, and another value of working with them is they were able to save me that money. On another front, many single and coupled up women and their spouses and partners are open to moving across the country or the world. But how does one choose where to live? That is a difficult question, and one I struggled with because I was an empty nester and because I can work and live anywhere. It kind of gave me pause and made me think about, wow, I can actually go anywhere I want. But the reality is that I have a mother who I spend a lot of time with, and I help her, and I love to be with her. And I have brothers and sisters and my children, and they're all pretty much based in Massachusetts at this point in time. So I made the decision to not stray too far away. I wanted to stay close to all the people that I care about, and I have a wonderful group of friends in Massachusetts also. But today I found a pretty neat tool that helps you pick a place to live. It's kind of a fun little creation by the New York Times. I tried it, and based on how I answered the questions, there were towns that came up in Arkansas, California, and Florida. So it gets to the town level, not just the state. And these towns were suggested to me after I answered some questions. I was kind of hoping that it would come up with Asheville, North Carolina, because that's one of my dream retirement cities. And I was surprised that my new town didn't come up, although I'm just kidding because I did say that I like a warmer climate and Massachusetts doesn't really check that box. But by checking a warmer climate on the list, any of the towns in the Northeast were kind of eliminated. But truth be told, I don't mind winter because I really enjoy snowshoeing, skiing, skating, cross-country skiing. In fact, my new home, there is a ski mountain and a mountain for hiking literally in the backyard of the home. So I'm excited about that. But around March every year, I get ready for warm weather. So perhaps a trip to some of the southern states in March will be coming up after I move into my new home. So back to the tool from the New York Times. It uses 35 different factors that help predict which American cities are best match based on users' preferences. And some of the factors, for example, are a region's average cost of living. So it looks at West, Midwest, South, or Northeast. It looks at climate, racial diversity, political affiliation, population density, and these are just to name a few of the factors. And the New York Times has said, quote, "We created a quiz using data for almost 17,000 places across more than 30 metrics, and we've quantified healthcare quality, snowfall, crime rates, criteria that might be top of mind for retirees. Realtor.com shared housing prices with us. Yelp contributed tallies of restaurants, music venues, and gay bars, and AccuWeather helped us collect statistics on temperature, sunshine, and snowfall, just to name a few of our sources." The tool even allows people to focus on the qualities that matter most to them by double voting for those qualities. So once search results are narrowed to a user's satisfaction, they can drill down further to get the details for those individual cities and their demographics. And then users indicate their favorites by liking them with a heart. Once they're done, they click Compare and Heart to view a table that compares the various cities. I'll provide a link to the tool in the notes of this episode, but be warned, you need to be a subscriber to the New York Times to use the tool, but it's a pretty inexpensive subscription and obviously offers a lot more value beyond this. In addition, you can check out a couple other websites and their tools. There's one at bestplaces.net and also one at maptitan.com. There's also other sites that help you find the best places to live. There's one called Niche. Niche is a great way to find ratings and reviews for towns, school districts, colleges, and neighborhoods. I actually used it in my search, and the reviews were really wonderful to check out. You can check out Livability, Area Vibes, Teleport, Best Places, as I mentioned, and another one called Home Snacks. I love snacks, so I think the name is cute. And CNBC just put out its 2022 listing of top 10 states to retire to. Just saw that come across my desk today and added it into the script for this episode. The criteria that was used is affordability, quality of life, and access to quality health care. And the top 10 states are, in order, number 1, Florida. Yes, although it's not on top of my list, it is meeting those criteria and puts it at number 1. Number 2 is Virginia. Virginia is for lovers, and I think that's a great state to consider. Number 3 is Colorado, which I've been there a couple times. I love Colorado. Number 4 is Delaware. Number 5 is Minnesota, followed by North Dakota at number 6. Montana at number 7, and I just did a vacation there a couple years ago and absolutely love Montana. Number 8 is Utah, which again, did another trip there recently. Loved Utah, never had been there before. Bryce and Zion are amazing. And tied at number 9, so 9 and 10, I guess, is Arizona. Again, love Arizona. A little hot. And then tied with Arizona is New Hampshire, which New Hampshire is on my list of states to potentially retire to because it's not too far from the friends and family I care about, and looks like it's in the top 10 of places to retire to. The affordability rank for New Hampshire is 34, but the quality of life is number 2 in the country, and healthcare is at number 8, probably because of its proximity to Boston. The worst states to retire to are Mississippi, New York, and New Jersey. To wrap things up, I just want to hit on a few thoughts on what I call the upside of downsizing. Mainly because when we retirees decide to move from either move from or sell our family homes, it will typically involve downsizing not only our physical space, but also our stuff. And getting rid of that stuff can sometimes be hard. I know because I've been downsizing for the last 6 years. Even though I have no plans to retire anytime soon, every time I moved, I was able to get rid of some stuff. And yeah, it was hard because some of the stuff was important to me. It seems every time I move, I do get rid of stuff, but then I collect some more stuff. Anyway, it's a vicious cycle. It's hard to part ways with stuff you've been living with for a long time. But you know what? The process can be pretty cathartic. I've been throwing out recently sheets and pillowcases and towels and pie plates. Who needs 5 when you make 1 pie a year? And also a giant bag of mismatched socks. And guess what? The next day, I had a new skip in my step. Seriously, there are many, many upsides to downsizing, and chief among them is lower housing costs if you're going to a smaller home. And because this podcast focuses on financial wellness, anything one can do to be more efficient with their money is a win in my book, and certainly a smaller home should be more affordable and more efficient. Even if you don't have plans to move in the near future, decluttering, simplifying, and get rid of stuff that you no longer need or is serving any purpose or that you haven't touched in over a year is good for everyone. And guess what? The guys that rent the dumpsters love it too. I know I have my red jacket dumpster, red carpet dumpster guy. And he knows me by my first name when I call. He's like, okay, Lynn, I'll bring a dumpster over. Hopefully I don't need a dumpster with this move because I've been hoeing out for the past few years since we've been here. There's a pretty interesting website I also just came across called upsideofdownsizing.com. There is an About Us page that says that they help those 50 plus gain freedom by downsizing, leading to a happier and healthier life balance. Through educational events and professional counseling, they provide ideas and insight on downsizing topics, including 8 steps to successful downsizing, tackling the emotional challenges of downsizing, which you cannot underestimate those, selecting the right home, and more. In addition, they can stage your home for a quick and profitable sale. Their educational events and services are designed to enrich those 50 plus and their families by promoting healthy, safe, and meaningful lifestyles. While I cannot vouch for their services, this sounds like a great service to check out. And if they don't serve your community, because I'm not sure if they're national based, I'm sure you can find some resources locally. To close out this week's episode on housing matters, I do believe that home is where the heart is. And I believe that you can make a home anywhere. If you focus on this, you'll be okay. I will definitely be practicing what I preach as I move out of my lakefront rental that I've loved living in for the past 4 years. But I know homeownership will be better for me in my little retirement-ready ranch home. And the silver lining is that I'll be next to a different lake with a mountain in the backyard. So there is absolutely an upside to downsizing. Thanks for listening, and don't forget, knowing more is having more, and you too can get her done. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me at lynnt@herretirement.com. As always, I am here to help you, whether you are downsizing, upsizing, right-sizing, financing, trying to get educated. I'm here for you. Let's get her done.